My next patron question is from Andrew, who wants to know about one way to adapt a book series with a significant following. One of the most successful dinosaur pitch book series in recent times is the Dinotopia books by American illustrator James Gurney, which tell of an uncharted island where shipwrecked humans live in harmony with intelligent prehistoric animals that survived extinction. The four main books of the series from Gurney himself are very notable for their lifelike illustrations, impressive world building, lifelike storytelling approach, and paleontological accuracy at the time the books were published. Naturally, with the book's popularity came interest in adapting them for the screen. In 1994, George Lucas expressed interest in making a film adaptation, which never came to be, although many visuals in the Star Wars prequel trilogy suggest inspiration from the books. Eventually, a mini-series and short-lived TV series, as well as a straight-to-video kids film that served as sequels to the books, came out in the early 2000s, but the overall opinion on these was not popular. Gurney has gone on the record to admit that he wrote the books in a way that might not adapt well to film format, but to this day, many fans still hope for a possible proper adaptation. In my opinion, live-action filmmaking might not be able to do Gurney's unique painting style justice, and I think the best way to adapt Dinotopia to film, or even maybe a new and improved TV series, would be through traditional animation, and there are two methods I think would be most ideal. Firstly, I think the detailed, hand-drawn style of Studio Ghibli would be perfect, especially seeing as the company has specialized in both grounded and fantastical design styles. The other possible option would be the oil painting-like style of Loving Vincent and the Peasants, for a visual look that more closely resembles the books. What do you think? Could the Dinotopia stories be adapted this way? Before I get into the meat of the question, I should mention I did watch the Dinotopia miniseries when it aired on ABC in 2002. I was not familiar with the books, but I guess the promos really captivated me, so I tuned in for each installment. I remember enjoying the miniseries, but I've not watched it since the original airing, so I'm unable to offer a fresh opinion. The only thing that I really remember from it is David Thewlis was one of the main actors. Surprisingly, while I was aware of the television series before it premiered on ABC later that year, I never really got around to watching it, and it seems I was not the only one considering how quickly the show was cancelled. But despite my general lack of familiarity with the source material, I think the concept of this hidden city and world where humans and dinosaurs live alongside one another has potential for a fun series or movie. I actually thought the recent Jurassic World movies were heading in that direction of showing the people dealing with occupying the same spaces as the resurrected dinosaurs. However, the filmmakers decided to take the franchise somewhere a little different, with only small moments that showcase this idea. The illustrations of the books do look very striking, and I can definitely see how they influence some of the designs in the Star Wars prequels. Animation would be a promising route to take. Andrew mentioned Studio Ghibli, although they're in this curious place now, where they're mainly relying on Hayao Miyazaki and possibly his son generating film ideas, and the future is uncertain, especially as Miyazaki gets up there in age. Of course, there's several other animation studios in Japan who will be well suited to such a concept. There's Studio Pinocchio, which is staffed by quite a few Ghibli alumni. I was quite impressed with that first feature, Mary and the Witch's Flower. Maybe that's the studio who could take it on. And while I know Andrew specified hand-drawn animation, a Japanese director who could do something interesting with Dinotopia is Takashi Yamazaki. He has gotten acclaim and attention for his handling of iconic Japanese characters like Godzilla, Lupin III, and Doraemon. So, from the looks of things, he seems to know his way around adapting source material, and maybe he could adapt Dinotopia as an animated film. The painted look of Loving Vincent would certainly be interesting to see with this material. I was really impressed with what that movie pulled off in capturing the look of that famous Dutch artist's paintings. Turning Dinotopia into a series of moving illustrations would be one inspired way to go about it. However, I think the most likely scenario of a new adaptation would probably be a computer-animated film. With which studio, DreamWorks could work, and they can even employ a similar art style to the one used in The Wild Robot. And of course, Sony has been doing a lot of nifty things with their animation. Pixar seems unlikely though, and it's not because they primarily focus on their own characters, as I do think they might one day adapt pre-existing source material if one of the filmmakers is really passionate about it. Instead, it's because Pixar previously produced a movie about a world where humans and dinosaurs coexist, and it became their first box office flop, so I don't see them returning to that. Although when Pixar first revealed the initial pitch for The Good Dinosaur, I thought this would also be a film that would show dinosaurs and humans living together in present day, with dinos trying to navigate the buildings and human vehicles. Boy, I sure do have the idea on the brain a lot. Maybe because I watched a lot of the Flintstones as a child. Anyway, what route do you see a future adaptation of Dinotopia going? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for the question, Andrew.